Hi everyone, it's Tom here and thanks for joining me on today's video. So this week is all going to be about piping. So we're going to finish off our piping models by the end of the week. We're going to create our fabrication drawings for them. We're going to update our orthos, run them through Navisworks and make sure we're not getting any clashes. And then by the end of the week, we will also update our InfoWorks model just to make sure that it looks right visually where it sits in its real-world location, possibly. So today is all about Area 1. We have our TK001, you can see there on the screen, with Pump 1 and Pump 2. So Pump 1 and Pump 2 have 8-inch suction lines at a spec of CS150, and the pumps are discharging 6-inch lines at also a spec of CS150. So we go into our Area 1 equipment model, and there it is in plan view. So we can just zoom into our pumps here, and we can edit the nozzles. So when you do edit the nozzles on plant, you select the pump and click on the Edit Nozzle tab, and then we go to our, it was an 8-inch line, CS150, and we have to pick the nozzle. Otherwise, if you don't, it doesn't actually change. So same thing for pump number 2. We call it a 200. And then we do the same with the discharge lines. So they're going to be 150s, raise face. And then the same for this one. They're going to be 150, raise face. So there's our two pumps there with their respective 200 suction and 150 discharge. Now with the tank or the vessel here, I'm going to change it to wireframe just so you can see. So by default on some pieces of equipment, plant may or may not place just a couple of nozzles just to start you off, I guess. But we're going to delete those for now because I just want to start from a blank slate, so to speak. So I can control and click the nozzle and I get the little pencil glyph, and then I can just use the delete key on the keyboard to delete it. So also with this platform, I'm not really interested in this at the moment, so I'm just going to remove it. So if we go back to our p&id, we can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nozzles here. So I can also come in and annotate them, and then I will know which nozzles we're dealing with. So N1 is at the top, N2, N5, so these will presumably be N3 and N4. So what might happen as well is, it looks like I'm obviously just doing nozzles, to my own numbering. So when you do get an equipment data sheet, these may already be numbered. So from the vendor, they will know that they're N1, N2, whatever. Also as well, generally, you might find, depending on the process and whatever project you're working on, the nozzle elevations will be set, but in plan view, the rotations won't be set because that'll be something that you may decide as a designer that you want the nozzles to be at 45 degrees, 30, 32 and a half, whatever it might be. So with this, we've obviously just got 5, so 4 on the body, 1 on the top, and when we jump into the 3D model, I will sort of work out where I need them. So N1 is at the top, and it's a 6-inch CS150 line. So in plant, you pick the item, right-click, add nozzle, and it's a top nozzle. So the R value, which is the offset, is 0 because we want it in the center. The length, I'm going to make it just an even 250. And it's going to be a 150 and a pressure class of 150 as 6-inch raised face flange. So there's N1. So if we go around, N2 is an 80mm line in CS150, and it's near the top. So it's radial, so the height, let's start at 18 meters. Looks good enough for now. And the L, which is the extension from the face of the body to the face of the nozzle, is at 250, and then we know it's an 80mm CS150 spec. Okay. N5 is a 4-inch line at CS150 as well, and it's near N2 at the top there. So again, we'll do the same thing. I'll just switch to top view as well. So you can see there's N2. And if I switch to the side, there's N2. So again, I might just modify this just to bump it up a little bit higher too. So let's go to, what does 20 meters look like? Again, you'll be doing this from a data sheet off the equipment vendor. So these should already be set for you. So that looks about right. And then we'll go to N5 and radial again. And this was at 19.5, so N5 is a little bit lower, so we'll make it at 19 meters, 250. And let's push the angle around 180 degrees for now. And this was a 4-inch line at CS150 as well. So there's 3 nozzles, and then we've got down the bottom N3 and N4. So N3 looks like it's, I don't know, almost halfway up. So it's a 4-inch line at CS150 as well. So N3 will do the same. Add nozzle. Height, let's make it 10 meters. L of 250. N3, and it was a 4-inch line at CS150. And then N4 is my 8-inch line, which is down towards the bottom of the vessel. So this one shows it as close to the bottom there. It could also be a drain at the bottom of that spherical head there too. So we're not going to do that. So it's going to be add nozzle somewhere down 300. Let's make it an even 300. Protruding 250. Change type. It's a 200 mil line. Changing the unit to inches. And then there we go. So now with the orientation. So that looks okay for now. But again, we know that this bottom nozzle should be rotated at some point. So what I want to do is, just to get an idea on how this is going to look in its location, I'm going to XREF in the structural models and then switch to realistic or conceptual. Conceptual looks nicer. There we go. So we've got all of these nozzles up here. So this one is obviously going to be okay. So it's going to come down and get onto the pipe rack. These 1, 2, 3 nozzles, we could probably orientate them to be a little bit more accessible to get in and off the pipe rack there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this one to be at an angle of, let's say, minus 60. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then we'll do the same thing for this one. So that will be 60, 90 plus 30, 120. Wrong way. So just come back and change it. So that will be minus 120. There we go. So looking from the top, we've got 2 lines coming off here, and then what we might do is for this bottom drain, so again, same thing, I'm just going to rotate that back around minus 90 degrees, and then let's do this one just for something different, minus 45 degrees. So they're all facing back towards the rack. So for now, in my head, that looks fine. So I'm just going to detach those XREFs again. I don't need them anymore. And then we're going to jump into the Area 1 piping model. So obviously it's blank, nothing in there. We need to XREF into the current drawing my equipment model. and I'll switch this to be conceptual again, and I'm also going to xref in the general structural model just so I get an idea on what it's going to do or what it's going to look like. So to finish off this video for today, I'm just going to do this suction line, so the drain from the tank going into these pumps. So I know that it's the 1003 line and 1004. So pump 1 has 1003 attached to it, and pump 2 has 1004 attached to it. So which one's which? We can come in here and see that this is pump 1 and this is pump 2, and there's that discharge line. So I go to the Home tab, and in the middle, next to the size, there's a button called p&id line list. So I can pull up that 200 CS150P 1003. 200 CS150P 1003. So I right click on it, go place. Plant will ask you to map the 200 size in the spec. And then we can run it. Now everything in plant is a node connection, not a center. So we go from node to node of the pump. And what you'll see there is plant will give you, it's got 9 different solutions for that. So down the bottom of the screen, so we can go next. So we're at option 3, option 4, option 5, option 6, 7, 8, 9, and back to 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're my 9 options. I like option 1, and I type in A to accept. Now, this is not gospel. If you want to move it, what you can do is delete one of the fittings, and then I'm going to bring this down. So I'm going to shift this, let's go 2500. So now I can do the same thing. I can just come back and reconnect this pipe. Okay. So to me, at the moment, that looks fine. Now we need to put the 1004 line coming off here as well. There's a couple ways to do that. I like to change the elbow to a T, and then that way that T is part of the 1003 line, and then I can run the same command. So place item, and then go node to node, and there's 2 options there, but I know that's the one that I want. You can see there now we've got our discharge line coming out of the bottom of the tank, splits up into 2, and then we can start placing our fittings, our inline fittings. So we've got a ball valve on the main line, and then each of the pumps here have gate valves on them. So again, you just go right click on it, place item, and for this exercise, I'll stick it in the horizontal up here, and the valve operator is up. So all of this will check and change possibly even later as well. So for 103, the gate valve, it's going to go up, and for 104, the gate valve, it's going to go up there as well. So we know that this spec has 2 different end ratings for those valves, so I'm going to change them to be flanged valves. Your spec will probably have these already set up as well. And just to make things look nice and neat as well, let's say I'm going to move this down, and plant will automatically just drag the valve down as close as it can, and then place the flange hard up against that elbow there. So again, this is not gospel. This will evolve in time as I get more data in regards to access, if we need to walk around it, do we need to change it, and whatever else. So just to finish off this video, we're going to do the 6-inch line. So coming off pump 1, we have line number 1005 and line number 1006. So pump 1 has line number 1005. So this is the way I like to do it, is place item. So again, we're just mapping that 6-inch line, and type in node for discharge, come up, and again, you don't have to do it this way, but this is how I like to do it, is, and I arbitrarily place these lines in some area that I think I know where they're going to go. Okay, the reason for this is because in plant, if I get an ID on the level of this steel, the steel's sitting at an elevation of 5,000, so 5 meters up. I can click in here and click on the elevation tab there, and I can also drag it up. If I zoom out, I need the dynamic inputs on. Where'd it go? Where did my dynamic input tab go? So it needs to be, we need to snap from this level, F12, there we go. My F12 needed to be on. So I know that this steel is sitting at 5 meters. So then when I do come in here, I've got the option to change which center pipe, top of pipe, bottom of pipe. So my bottom of pipe is at 5,000, but I know it's going to have a shoe on it or something that's 150 mil high. So we know the bottom of pipe is going to be 5150. So then if I change that, where's our cube? So if I switch my view cube over to the right, then you can see that this pipe, the bottom of it, is 150 mil above that steel member there. So if we do the same with the other length of the run, it's at 8,000. So we'll do the same thing, is pick it, change the elevation. So bottom of pipe is 8,000, but it'll be 150 mil up. So it'll be at 8,150. So if we look from the left, again, the same, that's going to have a shoe on it sitting on that structural member there. So we can also run now the other line, so 1006. So there's a couple ways to do this, but this is just one of many. So place item, go from a node, come up, and let's come up 3 meters. And then I'll control right click and type in perpendicular. And then there we have those two lines. So now we have two check valves coming from P1 and P2. So P1 and P2 check valves is HA105. And again, you can type in the values there. So I'm just going to do nearest for now. And I'm also going to change that to be a flanged one. And then 1006, change it to flanged. And then at some point, we need to put in the gate valve. Okay, so again, part of this exercise is that you will be managing and manipulating all of these. So what we can do is also, again, we can shift these down, and we can shift this branch down, and then we can end up shifting this valve down as well. So it just means that from an operator standpoint, if we ID this elevation, so it's at 2297, so it's enough for someone to walk under, but it looks like it could be high enough for someone just to reach up and rotate the valve operator if they need to. But again, these sorts of things you'll massage through the ongoing evolution of your design. So that covers area 1 for today. So thanks for watching. If you liked the video, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. But please subscribe to my channel for all of my daily videos. And tomorrow, by tomorrow's video, I will have finished area 1. And then with area 2, we'll get stuck into adding the lines for this tank and then coming again back into a couple pumps and out our rack. So again, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow for the next chapter in our planned project.